I'm driven, like all of my colleagues and anyone who works in the sector, and like hundreds literally of people in the community on the coast, and that is a passionate belief that all kids deserve a fair go. That the Central Coast is a wonderful place to live and to raise your children, but you want to make sure that it doesn't matter what family those children are born into, they have the same opportunities. What we want is for kids to have an ordinary life, which means a roof over their head, a warm bed, a meal in their tummies at night, love and support that all families should get, free from abuse and neglect, so that they can be extraordinary. That's what we want for kids on the coast. We have a significant child protection challenge on the Central Coast. Last year we took 15,000 reports of concern about children on the coast. That represented about 7,500 where the reports were quite concerning, so they met a threshold that said something really is not going right in this family for these children, and that represented about 4,500 children. Now if you imagine that for a minute, that is 4 very big high schools where every child in every classroom on every seat is living potentially a pretty dangerous and miserable life. Dangerous and miserable life for a child can take a number of forms, but we know that the 3 big drivers are domestic and family violence, so home where there's unpredictability around how people will react to difficult situations. We know that drug and alcohol, substance abuse is another major driver, and again it's that unpredictability of parents who are substance affected. And the third main driver is poorly or untreated mental illness. We know that again what that means is that sometimes parents are very good when they're on their meds, when things are going okay, where they're well supported. When that slips away, then that can mean quite a difficult life for children. And sometimes we like to think, oh, that happens in a neighbourhood that isn't my neighbourhood. I think the message that I want people to understand is it could be happening anywhere. And we currently have a Royal Commission into Sexual Abuse which will tell you that behind closed doors, some terrible things have been happening and probably are continuing to happen to children and young people from all walks of life, affluent families, disadvantaged families, single parent families. The truth is that families can spin out of control and children can have poor outcomes in any neighbourhood, in any street on the Central Coast. It's a great place to raise your kids. It's a great place to live and have a family. The real way I think we're going to get change on the coast is to get everybody aware that this is not something that happens in another suburb. It happens right beside you, and you need to be able to step up to the plate really as an adult and say, I'm going to make sure that the kids in my neighbourhood, next door, on my street, are as safe as I can make them. Best safety mechanisms for children are vigilant, loving, caring adults, whether that's their parents, their uncles or aunties, their grandparents, the lady next door, the lady in the shop, the sports coach, the teacher. Kids need to be able to look around, and wherever they look, they see an adult who's kind of lined up around what it means to be safe, whether that's the way they cross the road, the way they relate to other people, or more broadly around making sure that people that would do them harm get no access. If there's an immediate danger to children, you should always contact either 000 or the Children's Helpline. But in most instances, the first thing that you could do as a bystander is simply say, it looks like your child's very distressed, is there anything I can do to help? Is to not instantly judge without having all of the facts around what it is that you might be witnessing. To really make sure that the other person can see that you've noticed and that you care enough to reach out and say, is there anything I can do to help? And as a parent who's struggling, it's reaching out and asking for help. It is absolutely okay. It is the hardest job in the world, parenting, with little or no training, and to just put up your hand and say, you know what, I'm doing it really tough. There's a raft of services out there that we can provide. The first step is just to say, I need a hand. Look, I don't want to underestimate the problem that we have in terms of child protection on the coast. It's significant, but I also want people to recognise, as I do, There are rivers of love and goodwill on the Central Coast, and people genuinely want the best for all of our kids. It really is just threading together all of the good intent and the good hearts of the people on the Central Coast to make sure that none of our kids slip through the cracks.